And in this episode, we're going to talk about the trials and tribulations that inevitably pop up while you travel, especially when you're looking at a place to possibly become your home.
I mean, it looks beautiful and it's decorated very nicely, but there are definitely some glitches that made it not work for us.
Yeah. And in the beginning, we really let it get to us. You know, it got into our heads and it just started tainting everything. It was so weird. We went for a walk after, the next morning, and we looked around and everything looked different. Like the streets didn't look all clean and shiny, and the people weren't all smiling, and the colors weren't as great. It's amazing the lens that you put on when you think things aren't going well. So we dragged ourselves up a really big hill to one of our favorite breakfast places and sat down and had a meal and regrouped. And we talked to ourselves about how can we change our mindset.
Right. And I think it was quite amazing, and I'm sure this has happened to you too. It's quite amazing that when you make the decision not to be miserable or just even unhappy in any way by your circumstances, everything changes, and it really felt like a veil had lifted. So like Cliff said, when we were walking up there, everything sort of had this gray veil over it, and we were like, oh, I don't know if we even like it here. And when we left, we noticed the vibrant colors, and the people really are smiley and wonderful. And the streets are cleaner than they are at home. So it was just an important mindset shift.
Yeah. And so the first thing we did was we took a hike up another big hill to one of our favorite castles/forts that has this amazing view of the city. And we went up there, and on the way up, it was a really great walk. So we got an exercise. And when you start, like we talked about before, when you start moving your blood and you feel even better. And we got up to the top and we're really enjoying the view and really started taking in everything in a different light. And then we started bumping into like great street musicians. And we sat there and listened to some amazing music on the way down, which if I had been really grumpy, I may have walked right past them. Oh, also we went sailing, which makes me super happy.
Yes, that was so beautiful.
And that was so beautiful. I mean, this place was made for sailing, so that's exciting me a lot.
And that night we went out to dinner with some wonderful people that we met in the lounge in London that were on their way to Portugal as well, and got to know them and had excellent food. And it just reminded us of why we love to travel, why we love Portugal, and just the really many cool people that we've met. We've met so many wonderful people.
You know, I stopped at the store to get like some really cheap t-shirts, and this woman just started talking to me. It turns out she's from New York, Brooklyn, and her husband's a jazz sax player. They're in town, and I normally don't just start talking to people like that. She does that. But I was in a really good mood by that point because I had shifted my mindset. And all of a sudden we connected with them, and they have a whole community that they're involved with, and they're moving here. So we're just all of a sudden realizing that when you change your frame of mind, you actually will attract what you want.
When you shift that mindset, you really are able to notice the amazing, opportunities around you and people around you. So really important to control your mindset.
And then we went to Sintra, which was a city that we had gone to previously when we were here, but it was a different experience. We had a different tour guide that gave us a bunch of new information we had never known about. And so it really reminded us that even though we've been here before, we really don't know this place. And so we're really trying to go in and open up our perspective and really take it in, because there's so much here. There's so much in any city that you go to, or any country that you go to that you don't know. And it's very easy to fall into your habits. You go to the same places to eat. You see the same people, and pretty soon you've created your life not in the positive way that you had at home, and you're limited, and you're not really experiencing being in another country. You're experiencing being with a bunch of Americans living in a different country. Right. And we're trying not to do that. We don't want to be the typical expats that just hang out with expats. We're trying to find out what it's really like to live here.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about was the way, in our limited experience, the way that the Portuguese do business, which, you know, as I was saying, we had some issues with the apartment we rented. I was very angry. I felt like I had been duped, and immediately went to calling an attorney and being really mad, and thinking of what I was going to say on social media, which is not the right approach to take out of the gate. And then I realized, I calmed myself down and realized, I really hadn't communicated with them about how unhappy I was. So I wrote a really detailed email with laying out the issues that we're having.
Without the tone.
Without the
negative tone.
Yeah. Before we engaged the attorney, before we did anything else, I just realized I hadn't communicated how very unhappy I was, or unhappy we were. So wrote this long email, got an immediate response. In addition to laying out what the challenges were, I proposed a solution.
That is really important. When you're going into a conflict, and this is universal. When you go into a conflict, if you have a solution at the same time you're bringing up the conflict, you've solved half the problem, because other people can't read your mind and they don't really know what you want or what will make you happy. So offering up a solution instantly gives them something that they can do to change the interaction, and that's what happened.
Right.
And it really turned out to be great. In fact, we're moving today to a brand new apartment.
Right after this.
After this.
It's in a different neighborhood than we've ever been in. Right now we're in Baixa, which is wonderful because you're as centrally located as you can be, but we're in the middle of a bustling downtown.
Yeah, it's really crazy here. I mean, the tour buses go by and people are screaming, and it's like all night long, and there's construction everywhere because, Lisbon's booming right now. So this is going to be a different experience, which is what we wanted.
Right.
A neighborhood that we don't know. And it seems to be pretty hip neighborhood. It's up and coming. There's great restaurants, yoga studios, gyms, all the things that we wanted to experience as if we lived here. We're going to get a taste of that now.
We're pretty excited about all of that. Anyway, I think just to recap, the big takeaway for us is really the importance of controlling your mindset and controlling the way you think when you're faced with any kind of adversity. Because we could have easily allowed this to ruin our experience, our first week here. And I feel really proud of us that we did.
Yeah, we turned it around. It was like one evening that we had this really dark veil, and then the next day we really shifted it. So I am proud of us for that too, because it's not always easy to do that. So that's it. We'll be in touch from the new apartment, different background, different day. Okay? Ciao.
Ciao.